Hey everybody, this is a quick rundown of expectations and early season information for the 2019 JV boys tennis season. Um, so most of the communication will be done via Twitter. That is an easy way for me to get a mass message out to everybody. The Twitter handle is I'm sorry, it's at 910 LM Tennis, so 910 LM Tennis. If you're not on Twitter, you can make a quick account. It's not very hard, and this can be the only account that you follow. I would also suggest following at LM at Linmar Tennis for the varsity team, but you don't have to post anything. You don't have to follow anybody else. But this is a way to get all of the information. You can also set up alerts. So when I post something on Twitter, it shows up on your phone as like a text message would, which I highly suggest because when we have situations where we need to cancel practice, you can be alerted to it immediately. And if your parents are on Twitter, have them follow me. If they're not, go through the same process so that they can get the information too. Text messages are great if you're going to miss practice. I am certainly not going to put my cell number on a video that's going to go up on YouTube. So if you're going to be on the team, I'd like your cell number, and then you can send me, or I'll give you mine, and then you send me a text, and I'll get you my phone, so we can communicate that way. And then email works if needed, and there's my email address. In order to practice the first day, you have to have all of the necessary documents. That is physical form, code of conduct, off-campus form, concussion, and med card. If you do not have if you don't have a single one of those documents in, you cannot practice. So those things need to be in and updated by 3:45 on Monday. That's when practice starts. If that's not the case, if you're missing your med card, for example, you cannot practice, and it's considered an unexcused absence. So if you need help with that, please let me know. If you're driving to Excelsior, for the weeks that we practice at Excelsior, you need to have the driving form in. If you're giving a ride to somebody, or if you're getting a ride from somebody, you need to fill out that driving form in a way that indicates who you're giving a ride to or getting a ride from. And those documents need to be signed by both set of parents to indicate that you have their permission to get a ride from or give a ride to somebody. So if you're driving, you need the form. If you're riding, you need a form. If you're walking to Excelsior, then getting picked up from there, that's fine. You don't need a driving form if that's the case. The first few weeks, practice starts on March 11th. That first week, because it is so cold and snowy outside, and it's going to stay that way for a little while, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, we're going to have practice just like we've been doing our workouts. Tuesday and Friday is going to be indoor at Elmcrest. That will not be everybody. Because of limited court space and because it costs money, not everybody can go practice at Elmcrest. And that stinks, but that's just the way it is. So those players will be talked to. Everybody else will be made clear you're not going to practice. Spring break week practices are going to be determined later, probably in the middle of next week, and this gets to something that you're going to have to get used to also. With an outdoor spring sport, practices are somewhat unpredictable. So we will put out kind of a pattern, a schedule of what you can expect, but we need to be ready for last minute changes. And when I say we, I mean coaches, players, and parents. And so spring break practices will be announced later. If you're not going to be around for spring break, please let me know so that I can make plans for the people that are here. First week of practice will also be determined later, both location, whether it's at the high school courts or at the Excelsior courts, timing, all that stuff will be determined later and will be announced via Twitter. So another reason to follow on Twitter. Once the season gets going, the normal course of practices will be, we will switch every other week between practice at Linmar, at the high school, and at Excelsior. On our Linmar high school weeks, we will be practicing from 3:45 to 5 o'clock. Varsity then practices at 5 o'clock and goes to when they're done. At Excelsior, we go after the middle school girls teams are done. So we're going to start about 5 o'clock. We'll get done at 6:15. All right. And then when I say we're done at 5 o'clock and 6:15, that is when we'll be done. You don't have to worry about going long or anything. I will make sure that we're done at that time. So practice times are subject to change if things happen with court availability or whatever. That may change. That's just that's just part of it. And so that's another reason for Twitter alerts. In terms of practice expectations, once you're at practice, please be on time and please be ready to go at practice time. Getting from school to the courts and ready to even just warm up at 3:45 is very doable, and definitely at 5 at Excelsior. Please, please, please make sure you're picked up on time. Again, I commit to being done when I say we're going to be done. Please have your ride here. As coaches, we are required to stay here until the last kid is picked up. And if that is 20 or 30 minutes or longer after practice, that is time that we need to be spending doing other things. So please make sure you're picked up on time. If you need to arrange a ride, I will help with that. But that time is important. So when we're done at 5, we're done at 5. Please be picked up at 5. If it's 5:03, not a big deal. If it starts to get to be 5:30, that's a big deal. So whether it's coming back, being done with practice or coming back from meets, please make sure you're picked up on time. Be prepared for practice. Wear athletic apparel. Do not wear jeans. You will not be able to practice if you are wearing jeans. Bring sweatpants until it gets warm, and then bring shorts or whatever you want at that point. But no jeans. Wear athletic apparel, and make sure you bring water because there's no water fountains out at our practice facilities. If you're not going to be at practice, tell me ahead of time. If you're sick, send me a text. If you have another conflict with school, send me a text. If you have a school activity, that's excused. That may affect your standing with the team in terms of rankings or whatever, because I then can't evaluate your play, but that is excused. If you show up, if you don't show up and I don't know about it ahead of time, that's unexcused. And the accumulation of unexcused absences become important at a certain point. So let me know ahead of time if you're not going to be at practice. In terms of meets, once the season does get started, when we have 2 types of meets, JV1 and JV2 meets, and I'll make sure everybody knows which ones are which. For the JV1 meets, the top teams or the top players will play in that meet. So in those meets, there are 6 singles matches and 3 doubles matches. Who plays in those is going to be determined after the first few weeks of practice, obviously. It could be a situation where the top 6 play in both. It could be a situation where you have 6 singles players and then a couple of those guys play in doubles and a couple other guys play in doubles. It could be maybe all those matches are 12 completely different players. That's going to be determined later, but there will be those matches. All other players that don't play in those top matches will play in what's called exhibition matches against players from the other team, or even potentially, because our numbers are so big, members of our own team. So you will get on the court at all meets. It just may not be in the matches that count towards the meet score. And please, if you're a parent or if your parents are interested, ask them to come. We love having a big crowd. That's something we take pride in here at Linn-Mar, is having a big crowd and a lot of parents there cheering on our players. So please ask those parents to come. JV2 meets are for the guys who don't regularly play in the JV1 singles. It could be a case where guys who sometimes play JV1 doubles get to play singles in JV2 meets. Could be completely new guys. This is something, JV2 especially, is something that is likely to change from JV2 meet to JV2 meet. That's an opportunity for guys who don't usually get to play to get in a meet. I will say that most schools play juniors and seniors in these JV2 meets. So it may not be the easiest match you'll ever play in the world, but it is an opportunity to get on the court. And again, there's going to be some fluctuation in those lineups. And it's all about experience. It's all about getting a chance to get out there and play in those matches. And pairs are encouraged to attend this also. These are usually on Friday, but we'll go over the schedule later. There are 2 doubles tournaments, a Metro doubles tournament against Wash, Kennedy, and Jeff, or kind of a round robin tournament on April 6th. And then there's a mixed doubles with, you'll be partnered up with a one of the girls JV players on May 18th. There's only spaces for around 8 to 10 players for those tournaments, so the rest of the guys don't need to come to this. This is kind of a situation where I will communicate with the guys who are going to be asked to play, and then everybody else doesn't need to attend this. So that's just some background information. Obviously, going back to the communication piece, let me know if you have any questions via email or Twitter. But I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great season, and hopefully it warms up soon.